Hey, Knolly Williams here, the business healer. And in this episode number 2, I'm going to share with you the trajectory of the different business ventures that I've launched and how I became the business healer from a standpoint of different companies that I've owned. My first company I started at age 12 and all the way through. So stay tuned. You're going to love this episode. All right. Knolly Williams here. Welcome back to the podcast, episode number 2, baby. And of course, I'm still nervous. I'm at the beginning of my new podcast. So it's all good, though. It's all good. I'm here. In the last episode, I talked to you about why I do what I do, how I became the business healer, and whether and I got to tell you, I don't always want to do what it is that I do. Now I get a rush, I get a kick, I get lots of joy out of it. Why? Because it's what I was destined and placed on the earth to do. But also there's a lot of fear. Why? Because the ego, the little me, the little scared little boy, the 5-year-old Knolly is always afraid to come out and play. But today we're going to come out and play. You know, I did promise you that I would share with you the trajectory of a little bit more about how I became the business healer from a standpoint of the trajectory of my of businesses that I've had over the years and the growth of my different companies, and how I kind of got into the entrepreneurship space, if you will. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to share that. I'll be able to share that with you today. But again, I always go with the Holy Spirit. So sometimes I'll get a word that's for you, and it might seem like I get a little bit derailed, but the cool thing about a podcast, and I'm coming to learn this, is that this is where I actually get to unpack and I get to just be with you. Okay. It's not like YouTube. These are not polished episodes. They're just me sharing with you so that you can become the ultimate version of yourself. So I want to talk to you quickly about your dream life, what that looks like. I believe that you can live your dream life right now, right here, right today. What I do is I help you earn $250,000, $500,000, $1 million or more, 6 or 7 figures, while working just 3 hours a day. And there are actually 5 tenets to it. I'm going to add a 6th one, but the first one is, and think about these as I say them: earn $250,000 or more a year, have nights and weekends off, take 4 to 5 vacations a year, be debt-free, work 3 hours a day. Okay, let me say it again. Earning $250,000 or more a year, having nights and weekends off, taking 4 to 5 vacations a year, absolutely debt-free, while working 3 hours a day. And let me add a 6th one: being able to work from anywhere in the world. Is that the kind of life that you desire? You know, raise your hand right now if that's the life you desire. Okay. I don't care where you are. You're driving, you're in the gym, you're at the beach, you know, you're working out. It doesn't matter. Raise your hand, or just boom, give me a chest bump, boom, or a fist bump, if that's the life you desire. I got to tell you, that's not only is that the life you desire, but it's the life you deserve. It's the life you deserve. Forget about this whole concept of, oh, I got to earn it. I got to hustle. I got to grind. I got to get it. No, you were born earning this. See, when we were born, we have a rich inheritance. This is what they, okay, THEY, they don't want you to know, is that you have a rich inheritance. And the reason why most of us, our ancestors, and I'm not talking black, white, Hispanic, Asian. I'm not talking about ethnicity here. I'm saying that our ancestors, okay, of the human race, there's one race. I hope you understand that. There is only one race, scientifically proven that there's one race, and that's the human race. It's the Homo sapiens. You're a member of the Homo sapiens race, that family. So our ancestors were born and bred to be workers, okay? Worker bees, worker ants, That's what we were born and bred for. Here I go, getting off topic again. I got a nice agenda set up for you today, but let's see where the spirit takes this. I have no idea. But we were born and bred. It's in our DNA to work. It's in our DNA to be worker bees. It's in our DNA to be worker ants. Okay. But this is not your destiny. It's just in your DNA. And your DNA actually can be recoded. See, there is a lot of information stored in your DNA. There's a lot of memories stored in your DNA. And so when you came into this realm, you came preconditioned for a certain style or way of life. Okay. And that preconditioning was they, They, that are responsible for most of the world being worker bees, worker ants, if you will. But if you're an entrepreneur, that's not you. You've broken free from that. But what I found is that most entrepreneurs, you know what they've done? All they did was get out of the rat race and onto the hamster wheel. They're still on the grind. They're still on the hustle. And they act like the hustle and grind is something to brag about. That's just the dumbest thing in the world to me. That's just dumb. Dumb with a capital D. Dumb, 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 dumb. That is stupid. Stupid as can be. Breakdown. I got to tell you, bragging about your hustle and grind is just dumb. And the elites, they love when you do that because it shows off your ignorance. It's idiotic. Well, I work 18 hours a day. Go on with your bad self. They want you to do that. But the reality is ease and flow is our destiny, not hustle and grind. And I'm here to help you move from the hustle and grind to ease and flow. That's the destiny. That's what we were born for. We were predestined for that. Okay. We were predestined for the easy button. And the only person that gets gratified by you hustling and grinding the way you do is your ego, because it's not beneficial to you. It's not beneficial to your body. It's not beneficial to your mind. It's not beneficial to your family. It's not beneficial to the world or the people that you serve. Okay. It's not beneficial. All it does is feed the ego. It feeds the pride. It feeds arrogance. It feeds ignorance. Okay. And scripture says that my people perish for what? For lack of money? No. For lack of resources? No. Scripture says that my people perish. Who are his people? Those who are called. We talked about that in the last episode. Those are her predestined. You are his people. Scripture says my people perish for lack of knowledge, ignorance, stupidity. Okay. And whenever you find somebody hustling about how or bragging about how much they hustle and grind, that's just dumb. There's just not another way to kindly say that. Okay. Because we were bred to be slaves. Let me say it again. We were bred to be slaves from old. And this is not talking about color again, guys. This is the whole human race. Okay. There's the haves and the have-nots. There's the elites. Okay. There's a handful of families or whatever you want to call them. And the rest of us are supposed to just go out there, and we're called the working class. The working class. And when you study one of these episodes, I'm going to bring this to you. This is powerful stuff. Powerful, powerful, powerful. When you look at the life of an aristocrat or a noble or anyone born in royalty, okay, that's me. I'm royal. I don't know, well, I do know about you. You're royal too, okay? But when you're born into royalty, you don't work like that. You're not a mule, okay? So how do you get to the point where you don't work that way? Okay, I'm going to show you that. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. One day we're going to have, probably very soon, it's the way it's kind of coming to my mind. I'm going to talk to you about who you really are, because a lot of people have really forgotten, and all they're become is high-priced slaves. High-priced slaves. The working class, that's slavery. Slavery with a paycheck. That's not for you and me. That is not for you and me. So we'll talk about that. You're going to go from your business owning you to you owning your business. Let me say it again. You're going to go from your business owning you to you owning your business. All right. The purpose of your business is to serve you. So let me talk real quickly about, well, we'll see how quick it goes. Let's talk about my business ventures over time. So the entrepreneurial bug I told you about, when I was 10 years old in the last episode, I was 10 years old and I was dedicated. God told me my mission. I've been fighting it all my life. I've been fighting it even this morning. I'm fighting it right now, in a sense. I mean, I'm on mission, I'm on task, I'm on point, but I got to tell you, the business healer also needs a healing. Yeah, that's the whole point. Okay. We're all on this journey together. It's not that I'm ahead of you or whatever you might think. Okay. We're all in this journey together, guys. Okay. So I knew though that right after I was called is that I knew that I was a merchant, I guess you'd say it, because back in the old days, if you go back to England, you had the elites, you had the aristocrats, the royals. Those were the lords, the dukes, and so on. And I'm not just talking about kings. I mean, and princes. I'm talking about there was thousands and thousands of royal families, and noble families, if you will, so-called. And they didn't work, guys. I got to tell you, they did work. I'll talk to you about that in a future episode, but they did work a little, but not much. Okay. Less than 3 hours a day. I tell you that. But they did have a lot of workers. Yeah. And they were stacking. They made a lot of money. They lost a lot of money too, but they made a lot of money. And so long around the time I was about 12 years old, I got the entrepreneurial bug. So I wanted to become a computer programmer. So when I was 12 years old, mom paid for me to go to computer programming school. You remember I told you she would pay for what, she would buy us anything we wanted. And then she would beat us. So it was that kind of sort of a childhood. But if I wanted a computer, $1,000. Okay. She bought me a computer for $1,000 back in 1982. That's crazy. Okay. But that's also the year that I discovered sales. And I remember reading comic books, in the back of the comic, I don't know if you remember this, back in the 80s, you might not have been around at that time, but in the back of the comic, they had a lot of classified ads. And they'd be selling this or selling that or promoting this or promoting that. And it was mail order. So I would send away, allow 4 to 6 weeks for delivery and so on. And I would send away for these different schemes, if you will, or, make money, get money fast, make money, get rich quick. Okay. By the way, the fastest way to get rich is slow. Slow is the fastest way to get rich. By the way, most mornings, my wife and I, we don't eat solid food until probably about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes earlier, but usually about 1 o'clock. And in the mornings, we're generally drinking. We eat our food. We drink our food, I should say. We drink our food. So it's like fruit juices, fresh squeeze, organic, and lots and lots of herbs and things like that. So let's talk about, sort of this origin of my business ventures. I got into computer programming when I was 12. I was a nerd. Okay. I will admit it. I didn't want anybody in school to know that I was a nerd like that. So I would get on the bus and I would take computer programming classes on the other side of town, on that side of town. You know what side I'm talking about? That side. Okay. And I knew for a fact that I was going to become a computer programmer. But then I always wanted to make money. I don't know about you, but this has been something that has sort of plagued me since early childhood, was that I always wanted to make money. Okay. Have you ever felt like that? Like you just want to, like you want to hustle. And I'm knocking the hustle and grind, but you feel like, man, I want to hustle. I want to grind. Yes, you do. Why? Because it's in your DNA. You've been programmed to hustle and grind. The DNA, it's been scientifically proven that the DNA stores something like 14 generations of information. Let me say it again. The DNA stores something like 14 generations of information. Okay. So information from your mom and dad, and then and before them and before them, you know, great, 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 great grandfather, that information is in your DNA. And so there are certain urges that you'll have just because it's in your programming. Okay. And my thought is, just because it's in my programming doesn't mean that I have to act out on it. Okay. I can understand how I was programmed and I can rise above that. So at age 12, I found this ad, and I started getting Grit magazine. You know, you would buy Grit GRIT magazine for X number of cents, and you sell it for double what you. And I was fascinated. I can knock door to door. Man, nobody wanted this magazine, but they would buy it because they said 12-year-old little kid on his hustle. I was out there. I was doing it. I was doing my thing, right? Again, the hustle is beneficial for a season, very beneficial. You got to hustle. You got to grind for a season. It's not a life sentence. Okay. And then when I was 13, I started selling buttons and posters. I graduated. You know, all the kids were into, back then it was like Michael Jackson, Prince, Madonna, you know, groups like that, Boy George. You probably don't know nothing about that. That's okay. Run DMC, you know, all that kind of stuff. And so I would make buttons and posters. I got this little kit from a company called Badge a Minute, and I was able to make posters and I mean, not posters, but I made buttons. And then I would order posters from this wholesale company that would send them to me. And my dad was an entrepreneur. So my dad, he would be at the flea markets, every swap meet, whatever you call them, every single week. And he'd sell custom jewelry. He made his own jewelry. And I would be right there at the table helping him. And eventually I was like, man, I'm going to have my own table. Shoot, I'm about, I'm going to get my grind on. You know, I want my pocket fat full of money like he had his. And back then, think about this. There was no Apple Pay. There was no credit cards. Okay, it's cash, baby. It's cash on the barrelhead. And that's how it was. And so I started making buttons. I'd sell them my cost into it was, so what I'd do is I'd buy magazines like Tiger Beat, Right On magazine, you know, magazines like that. And I would cut out the pictures of the artist and I would make buttons out of them. So, and kids would buy them for $1 each. And it would cost me, I think my cost into a button was like 10 cents, 10, 12, 15 cents, something like that. And so I started making buttons and posters. That's when I was age 13. And I was stacking, I was making money. By the time I was 14, I figured out a new skill, a new scheme, and that was selling candy in school. So mom would give us $5 every day for lunch. We didn't qualify for the lunch program, okay, because mom made too much money. And so so every morning she would give us $5 each, and I think my sister would go to school and spend her $5 on lunch like you're supposed to. That's what we're supposed to do with it. But not me. I take my $5 and I go straight to the store and I would buy $5 worth of candy, you know, whatever I could find. Now and Laters was big back then. We had Starburst and other candies that were individually packaged, but I'd buy the big packs. I'd break them up and I'd sell them individually. And my $5 would turn into $10, $12, $15 some days. Okay. And so I was hustling that way. Then by the age of 15, now this is crazy, I started selling other products. Okay, maybe we'll just leave it at that. Other products I started selling. I'm gonna be real with you. So I had a kid in school, and his brother sold marijuana. Okay. And this was back before marijuana was legal, if you okay. But his brother sold it, and he would tell us, man, he said, man, my brother has a trash bag full of weed. Okay, not a trash bag, a trash can full, a trash can full. This was in California, and so we convinced this kid. He was a good kid. I was a good kid too, but Uncle Knolly got into a little bit of dirt. I got my hands clean eventually. By the time I was 18, I got cleaned up. But I want you to know, I mean, you know, everybody has a past, and this is mine. So this kid, he would he would go home and he would get a Wonder Bread bag, and he would fill it like halfway from the trash can. He would scoop out from his brother's stash, and then he would smooth the top of it so his brother didn't know any was missing. Okay. He would bring it to school. I'd give him like $10, and he would give me a lot of, now this is the kind of dirt I haven't done since I was 18. So don't judge me. I'm just telling you how my life was, because even though I was called by God at a young age, 10 years old, I didn't want nothing to do with him, her, however you depict God. I didn't want to have anything to do with him. And so I just, I was on a rebel path. I was beaten at home. I was told I was worthless. I was told, boy, you'll never amount to anything. I'm sorry I ever had you. You were a mistake. That's what I was told from as early as I can remember. I was reminded of that. And so I became what I was reminded of. What I actually bought into the lies. I bought into the beliefs that someone else, my mom, had for me. What lies have you bought into? Have you bought into lies before? Has somebody told you that you couldn't do it, that you couldn't be, or that you couldn't achieve, or that you couldn't have? And maybe you bought into it. I did. And so that's what I started doing. I started rolling up little marijuana joints, and I would sell them at school, and I would sell them for a dollar each. So lo and behold, I was able to take $10, and some days I would make it into $80, okay, $70. And I just loved that process. It was business, it was entrepreneurship, it was the whole process of taking something and making a profit from it. I got to tell you, I have nothing. Now, the product I was selling was not, probably kosher at the time, but I have nothing. I have no problem with making money. I got no problem with making an honest profit. Okay. There's no shame. There should be no shame in your game if you're out there doing it the right way. Okay. You're selling a great product that's really going to help people. It's going to bring them up. It's going to help alleviate some of their suffering. Okay. You should be very proud of that and happy that you can bring that to the world. And I've always been a person that liked making money. Okay. And so I just have no shame around it. It took me a long time to reconcile that, because I would read scriptures like, the love of money is the root of all evil, and so on, without really understanding the context of the verse. But I've reconciled and come to the understanding that, money is good for the good it can do, and money can do a lot of good, and money is opportunity, and money is choices. When you have more money, you have a lot of choices, you have a lot of options. And it's all going to stay in the world anyway. We can't take it with us, but we can enjoy it while we're here. And so at any rate, I fell in love with this whole idea of what I call the process of profit and making money from a very young age. When I was 23, when I was 22, I got married the love of my life. At age 23, I started my first quote unquote real business. And I'm 53 right now. Okay. So I've been an entrepreneur for 30 years. It's been 30 years since I collected a W-2. That business at the age of 23, Grape Tree Records, became the #1 Christian rap label in the world. Okay. Exceeded all expectations. And the way I started that company was I got $1,800 that I raised from family and friends. Okay. They just gave me $50 here, $20 there, 25, $50, $100, whatever it was. And I took that, and I got $1,800, and I quit my job, and I started my record company. Okay. And within 4 or 5 years, it was making $150,000 a month, every month. And I made my first $1 million by the time I was 29. I made $2 million that year. And I've made millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars since then. And I've lost millions and millions of dollars since then. We'll talk about that too. When I was 33, by the age 33, I'd lost everything. And I'll kind of pick up the story when we get into the next episode. But, it's one thing to make it, it's another thing to keep it. It's one thing to make, another thing to keep. And what I want for you is I want you to be able to not only make money, not only earn money, not only receive good money, but I want you to keep it. And I want you to be wealthy. I want you to be affluent. Say that. I am affluent. I am wealthy. I am affluent. That's you. That's you. That's what I desire for you. And that is you. So next time we get together, I'm going to pick up the story and I'm going to kind of share with you, how I lost it all, because there's a lot of lessons in how you lose. If you can't write the lessons down when you lose, then guess what? You could be doomed to repeat history. And we don't want any history being repeated. One of the big reasons I'm the business healer, and one of the big reasons that I do what I do and come to you every week like I do, is because I want to cut a 5, 6, 7-year learning curve off of the trajectory of your success. I don't want you to have to go through the same mistakes that I went through. So with that, I'm going to sign off. God bless you. I love you. I appreciate you for listening, for tuning in. Catch me on the next episode where I'm able to finish my story, the trajectory of how I became the business healer that I am today, how I lost it all, gained it all back, and then some. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Business Healer Podcast. Remember to spread the healing by sharing this episode. If you are serious about taking your business to the highest heights, making more money, and helping more clients and customers, all while working less hours and spending more time with your family, be sure to join the Knolly Coaching Club, where I personally coach and mentor you to your ultimate greatness. You can join for just $1 at Knolly.com. That's KNOLLY.com. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast so you'll never miss an episode. I'll see you on the next healing episode of The Business Healer.